Hey, so a question we get pretty often is, what yo-yo should I buy? And that question basically comes in, let's say, kind of 4 different flavors, and I'm just going to try to knock through them as quickly as possible. We'll try to keep it to basics, so we should be good. Okay, the first flavor of the question is, I just want something that'll go down, come back up, don't want to think about it too much, just want a toy that I can use like on my lunch break or something. And for people like that, I recommend the Duncan Reflex or the Yomega Brain. They have a little piece of machinery on the inside that will, after you throw it down and let it sleep for a second or two, will bring the yo-yo back to your hand without you doing anything. These are great for children and great for people who kind of don't want to have to pick up the skill, like don't want to have to learn how to throw a yo-yo up and down, because there is actually a little bit of a learning curve to yo-yoing. So if you want something that's simple and straightforward, this is the Duncan Reflex. The Yomega Brain is also another good option. The next step up would be, let's say you want to learn some basic tricks, like maybe when you were younger you knew about walking the dog and Eiffel Tower and tricks like those. If those are what you want to do, then I would recommend a responsive yo-yo. Responsive yo-yos, when you throw them down, you throw it down, then you give it a tugging motion and it'll come back to your hand. Oh, look at that, it's a Yomega Fireball. A Yomega Fireball would be a pretty good choice in this category. Since it'll sleep, the idea is you send it down, it'll sleep for a bit. If you wanted to walk the dog, you send it down, you let it roll on the ground for a second, then you give it a tug, and then comes back up. Oh look, it's a Yomega Raider. It's another good choice in that category. So those are good if you want to do some of those basic tricks like around the world or walk the dog. The next step up would be, maybe you saw a contest, like you saw sort of these 1A tricks, and that's what you want to learn, that's what you want to go towards. And so in the competitions, the 1A tricks you see, typically they're done on unresponsive yo-yos, and typically they're going to be yo-yos with bearings, and they're going to have wide gaps. In this case, even though you want to work up towards using unresponsive yo-yos, it's easier, in my opinion, to learn on a responsive yo-yo. So to be clear about that, an unresponsive yo-yo is one where the tug doesn't bring it back up, compared to the responsive yo-yo where the tug does bring it back up. I would say that it's easier to learn on a responsive yo-yo, and then you can buy a unresponsive yo-yo later. A simple example of a responsive yo-yo that would fit this purpose would be a Duncan Butterfly XT. It's basically an upgrade from the original Duncan Butterfly. This one does not have a ball bearing. This one does. Well, it has that wide gap, so it'll land on the string nicely. It'll spin for a decent amount of time because of that bearing. It's responsive, so it'll come back up and it's easy to learn on. I like these. They're good. I recommend them. And also they're pretty cheap, between $5 and $10. So even if you wanted to learn unresponsive, I don't think this is a big investment for you to make in order to just make learning that much easier. So I like these. And then finally, let's say you want an unresponsive yo-yo. And the good news is that once you get up into unresponsive yo-yos, it really doesn't matter, because any unresponsive yo-yo designed in the past, say, 5 years, maybe even 10 years, is going to be good enough to learn all of the basic tricks and many of the more advanced tricks. But if I was going to give you just a list of criteria, I would say that you typically want something with a fairly wide gap, so you can land the string on it. You want a ball bearing, so it'll spin for a long time. You want wide rims, because the wide rims will make it be more stable usually. And you want it to have a fairly soft curve or be fairly flat, because that'll be more comfortable to hold. All of those describe this recessed first base that I'm holding. This one's also extra nice because the first base comes with it comes with 2 bearings. It comes with one that will make it play responsive, so it'll come back to your hand when you tug, and one that will make it play unresponsive, so it won't come back to your hand unless you do a special trick. So if you wanted to go from 0 to hero or whatever, this would be a good yo-yo to get. The Recess for Space, I recommend it. Then going to give you 2 metal options at different price points. What's considered sort of intermediate price point would be, say, $50. Again, like if you don't want to spend $50, that's cool. The Recess for Space is $20. That's fine. There are $10 yo-yos that are good too. I mean, you don't need to spend a lot to yo-yo. But if you're going to spend $50, which is considered sort of an intermediate price point, I like this. It's the Yoyofactory Aviator 2, because there was an original Aviator, but this is the Aviator 2. Again, sort of wide curved rims, a big gap. It's a nice yo-yo. It's one of my favorites. It's reasonably priced. I like these. Okay, and also Yoyofactory has tons of other ones at the same price point. A lot of them are signature models for celebrity players, so you might just want to look at the whole collection and see if one of them suits you. I like this one specifically because of the wide rims. And then finally, if you had unlimited money and you were just going to pick any yo-yo you want, you know, one yo-yo that's not going to hold you back. Fun fact, no yo-yo is going to hold you back because you know, it all depends on how hard you work. But if you wanted the yo-yo that I think would be absolutely the best, I would choose the one Drop Topdeck. Again, it's a wide shape, has wide rims, a wide gap. It's pretty stable. It's, you know, but it's not sort of so stable that you can't, you know, make it tilt, or sometimes if you have a really heavily rim-weighted yo-yo, you have trouble doing regens, which to me is something that is worth learning when you're starting out. So if you wanted just the best yo-yo that I could recommend to you, the one Drop Topdeck would be definitely on the list for me. Anyway, have fun.